Having covered some of the basic elements of the taxable income computation, let's now move on to the tax calculation for a UK resident for a tax year. For this, we will first need to establish the tax liability of the individual. To do this, we'll arrive at the taxable income of the individual using the income tax computation format already shared. You may recall that the sources of income are categorized as non-saving, saving, or dividend income because of the different tax rates that are applicable on them. The tax rates applicable on each category of income are as follows. Now, this key piece of information will be made available to you in the live exam in the tax tables, so it doesn't need to be memorized, but its application needs to be correct in order for easy marks to be scored. Do note that this table will only come into play if you've been asked to determine the tax liability or the tax payable amount of the individual. Let's first see how the table is read. So in the leftmost column, we have the income tax band names. Then we have the band limits, and then we have the three categories of income. Now if you read the table, the basic rate band covers the income range from the first pound till the first £37,700. If the income falling within this range is from non-savings income, then the tax rate applicable on it is 20%. A similar percentage will apply if this income is from savings, but if the income falling in this range is dividend income, the tax rate applicable is 8.75%. Income in excess of £37,700 but less than 125,140 is considered to be a higher rate income. Once again, depending upon which category the income falling in this range is coming from, the tax rates will vary. The tax rate applicable on non-savings and savings income is 40% and 33.75% for dividend income. Finally, the additional rate band covers the income in excess of 125,140. The non-saving and saving tax rates are 45% and is 39.35% for dividend income. Income tax is calculated on a differential basis, which means, for example, if we have an individual who is earning non-saving income of £150,000, then the first £37,700 of this income will be taxed at 20%. 40% will apply on the amount that falls between £37,700 up to £125,140, and the amount in excess of £125,140 will be taxed at the rate of 45%. Additionally, bear in mind that when the examination team refers to an individual as a basic rate taxpayer, this implies that the total taxable income of the individual in the tax year is less than equal to £37,700. So stating that an individual is a high rate taxpayer would imply that their total taxable income is greater than £37,700 but less than equal to £125,140. So, an additional higher rate taxpayer would automatically imply that the total taxable income of the individual is greater than £125,140. One more consideration regarding the tax bands is that the band can be utilized only once in the tax year. And as is the norm, non-saving income gets the first shot at utilizing the initial bands. Once non-saving income has been taxed, then saving income is picked up and matched to the tax band available, and finally dividend income is given its chance. Let's look at a simple example to understand how income tax is actually calculated. Let's assume that individual A has taxable non-saving income of £160,000. Now there is no other category of income, and even if there was, remember that non-saving income would still have taken priority among the three categories in being taxed. Now to make the band utilization concept easier to understand, it's best to work out the capacity of each band, that is the amount that the band's range will cover. This is worked out by simply netting off the upper limit and the lower limit of the band. So the basic rate band has a capacity of £37,700 in it. The higher rate band has 125,140 less 37,700, that is £87,440 capacity. And since the additional rate band has no upper limit, its capacity is unlimited. So starting our tax calculation, we'll pick up the £160,000 taxable income and we'll start filling up the bands in sequence. The first 37,700 goes into the basic rate band, and because this is non-savings income, it will be taxed at the rate of 20%. Out of the £160,000, we still have £122,300 that remains to be taxed. But the next band, which is the higher rate band, only has the capacity to accept £87,440 of income. So out of the £122,300 remaining taxable income, £87,440 will be matched to the higher rate band and taxed at 40%. The £34,860 of taxable income that still remains to be taxed will be put in the third and final band and will be taxed at 45%. And this is how the entire £160,000 taxable income will be taxed. The tax liability amount based on the sum of the tax figure of all three bands will now be £58,203. So A will end up liable to pay £58,203 on his £160,000 taxable income amount for the tax year. Having looked at the differential method of tax calculation for non-saving income, let's move the discussion towards a more comprehensive scenario where an individual may have taxable savings and dividend income as well. But we will also need to cover the concept of nil rate bands in order to effectively understand the tax calculation for these two categories of income. Nil rate band is a form of tax relief which is available only on taxable savings income and dividend income. This relief does not apply to non-saving income at all. First, let's have a look at savings income, which is given priority over dividend income. Now, a special concession in the case of savings income is that if the first £5,000 of the taxable income is from the savings income category, then it is taxed at zero. No tax is payable on it. To give you a better idea, if this rate was incorporated in the tax rates table, this is how the modification would appear. So you have the 0% tax rate on the first £5,000 of savings income only. The amount in excess of £5,000 and up to £37,700 is taxed at 20%. Keep in mind that this is not how the information will be laid out in the tax tables available in the exam. Although a note stating that the starting rate of 0% applies on the first £5,000 of saving income is mentioned. In majority cases, because non-savings income is given priority in being taxed, it normally ends up covering the first £5,000 of the tax bands, which is why the relief on savings income is often wasted. But as covered before, the tax rates of 40% apply on saving income falling in the higher rate band, and 45% applies on the additional higher rate of savings income. An additional concession that is available for both savings income and dividend income is the concept of nil rate bands. But the rules for each category of income are slightly different. In the case of savings income, if a taxpayer's total taxable income from all categories of income falls in the basic rate band, then the taxpayer can claim a nil rate band on the first £1,000 of their savings income. This means that no tax will be applicable on the first £1,000 of saving income for the taxpayer in the current tax year. If, however, the total taxable income of the taxpayer falls in the higher rate band, then a nil rate band of £500 is available on the savings income, which means no tax will be applicable on the first £500 of saving income, regardless of the band these £500 actually fall into. There is no savings income nil rate band available if the taxpayer is an additional higher rate taxpayer. Now, the nil rate band relief is available on savings income in addition to the starting rate of 0%, which is applicable on the first £5,000 of savings income, provided it falls in the basic rate band. So if in a situation an individual's saving income does fall in the first £5,000 of the basic rate band, it will be taxed at zero, and then taking into account the tax status of the taxpayer, an additional £1,000 or £500 will also be taxed at zero because of the nil rate band. Finally, another very important aspect to note is that the amount of income covered by the nil rate band is considered to have utilized the tax band's capacity. Let's understand the application of these points with an example. Individual B has taxable non-savings income, that is, amount after personal allowance, of £1,800 and taxable saving income of £7,100. Since the total taxable income of the individual amounts to £8,900, they will be termed as a basic rate taxpayer and should be able to avail the £1,000 nil rate band on savings income. Now, in terms of dealing with the actual tax calculation, we'll start by first picking up the £1,800 of non-saving income. This amount will be put in the basic rate band and taxed at 20%. This gives rise to a tax liability of £360. Having dealt with the non-saving income, we'll now shift our focus to savings income. Before that, we will also determine how much of the basic rate band is still available after the utilization by non-saving income. Out of 37,700, only 1,800 is utilized, so 35,900 of the basic rate band is still available. So we now move to the savings income and we consider two things. First, is the savings income amount part of the first £5,000 of total taxable income? In this case, the answer is yes, because the non-saving income taxable amount is less than £5,000. So £3,200 of the first £5,000 is still available to be covered by the saving income. This will be taxed at zero under the starting rate rule. So we've got zero tax liability on savings income so far, but we'll observe that £3,200 of savings income has now utilized the existing capacity of the basic rate band. B's leftover taxable saving income is £3,900. So now we'll consider the nil rate band available on savings income. The nil rate band is £1,000 for basic rate taxpayers and £500 for higher rate payers. But because B is a basic rate taxpayer, the next £1,000 of his savings income will be covered by the nil rate band and will be taxed at zero. This will leave behind £2,900 of the taxable saving income amount. Because of the small value of the amounts in this example, it is easy to establish that £2,900 of the savings income will now fall in the basic rate band and so should be taxed at 20%. But in order to fully understand the interplay between the tax bands and the nil rate band, let's carry out a quick working to see how the basic rate band has been utilized. First and foremost, £1,800 of non-savings income was put in the basic rate band, then £3,200 of savings income, and then we also consider the 1,000 of savings income that was covered by the nil rate band. Now, even though the tax rate applicable on this is zero, we will still consider it to be utilizing the basic rate band. At the end, we still have £31,700 capacity in the basic rate band unutilized. But the income of individual B that requires taxing is only £2,900. And that is why it is treated as falling in the basic rate band and being taxed at 20%. So this is how the tax calculation working along with the application of the starting rate and nil rate band needs to be displayed. Ultimately, the total tax liability for individual B amounts to £940. Unlike saving income, there is no separate starting tax rate applicable on dividend income. But if you refer to the tax table, you will see that the tax rate for non-saving income and saving income are the same across the three bands. But the tax rates applicable on dividend income are completely different. However, like saving income, dividend income does have a nil rate band concession, but its application is more straightforward. The first £500 of dividend income is covered by a nil rate band. This means that the first £500 of dividend income will be taxed at zero, regardless of whether the taxpayer is a basic rate taxpayer, higher rate taxpayer, or additional high rate taxpayer. Let's look at a more comprehensive example. An individual C has taxable non-saving income of £18,000, saving income of £14,000, and dividend income of £10,000. The total taxable income would amount to £42,000, which makes C a higher rate taxpayer. This means that C is entitled to a nil rate band of just £500 on his savings income, and the nil rate band on dividend income is unaffected by the tax status of C, which means that C will be entitled to £500 nil rate band on the dividend income. We'll now start with the tax calculation with non-saving income. So the £18,000 will fall in the basic rate band and will be taxed at 20%. This will give rise to a tax charge of $3,600 and leave behind basic rate band of $19,700. Being a higher rate taxpayer, C will now get the $500 nil rate band on savings income, and you need to remember that the nil rate band amount also utilizes the tax band. So the unutilized basic rate band amount will now be $19,200, and the $13,500 of the untaxed saving income will fall in the basic rate band and be taxed at 20%, giving rise to a tax charge of £2,700. There is still £5,700 of the basic rate band left, which will now be utilised by dividend income. The first £500 of this income will be covered by the nil rate band and will be taxed at zero, but this £500 will also use up the basic rate band capacity available, leaving behind a balance of £5,200 or space of £5,200. So £5,200 of dividend income will fall in the basic rate band and will be taxed at 8.75%, and the remaining dividend income amount of £4,300 will fall in the higher rate band and will be taxed at 33.75%. So this is the tabular application of the utilization of the tax bands. We arrive at the tax charge of 455 and 1451.25 for dividend income, and the total tax charge amounts to £8,206 because the final answers in tax should always be to the nearest pound. Now, a possibility that the taxpayer may face is that their savings income or dividend income amount may be lower than the nil rate band available, meaning that there will be no tax liability arising in relation to savings income or dividend income in that case. So we've now covered how the nil rate bands are incorporated in the income tax liability calculation. But you need to keep in mind that there will normally be no prompt in the question to remind you that the nil rate bands are available and have to be utilized. So you need to remember that as part of the calculation. Coming to the final point of discussion in the income tax calculation, the tax liability amount is not necessarily the amount that has to be handed over to the tax authorities. The tax payable amount may differ. And this may be because some tax may have already been paid to the tax authorities during the year itself. A common example of this is tax deducted at source on salary received by an employee, which is covered by the pay-as-you-earn system. Under this system, HMRC have made it easier for them to get access to the tax on the employment income by instructing employers to deduct a monthly tax charge from the employee's salary before it is handed over to the employee. Now, if you do have employment income as part of the taxable income computation, then you wouldn't want to hand over an amount of tax that has already been paid on this amount. So the tax payable amount in this case would be the tax liability that you calculate on the gross employment income amount, less any tax that has already been paid by or on behalf of the individual. The adjustment of tax deducted at source or pay as you earn is reflected in the following manner. Now, you'll not be required to calculate the pay as you earn amount because if it is to be tested, the amount to be adjusted will be mentioned in the exam scenario. With this, we come to the end of the overview of the income tax calculation.